Danny Davis. He's a host of Daniel Davis Deep Dive, as senior fellow at Defense Priorities. Danny, I mean, Ukraine is saying that they hit over 30% of Russia's strategic cruise missile carriers. This cost Russia something like $7 billion in damages, all of it using small drones. Like, what does that tell us about the future of war here?
They'll just tell you that nothing is safe anymore anywhere. The days of the deep rear or the far from the front lines, it's just almost non-existent anymore. Everything is susceptible, whether you're talking about long-range missiles like the ATACMS or the Storm Shadow, or long-term insertions where you go behind enemy lines and launch them. And this is so easy because from what we can understand, that a lot of this stuff was actually assembled inside of Russia. It looked like they had some folks on the inside from Russia that were either paid, they were corrupt people that's uncertain what it was, and they haven't revealed all the details, but it looks like some of these were assembled inside of Russia and then just driven to the location. Some of the truck drivers are reported to not even knowing what was inside of it. They were just delivering to a certain location, and then all of a sudden via satellite link, the top of those things opened up, as you said a second ago, and then launched, and it's a relatively short distance to there. There were 3 other air bases that were also attacked in addition to the 2 where the big hits came, that were able to repulse the issue. So all of them didn't succeed, but it does show that everything is vulnerable right now.
And almost as powerful, if not more powerful sometimes than those bombs, is that each one of those drones has a camera, and that camera records video, and that video is being used for like this massive propaganda campaign. They seem to be, like, all of this crippling the flow of semi-trucks inside of Russia right now, because how is Russia supposed to trust semis that are driving on their roads, right?
Well, I'm sure that there's a lot of internal discussion going on, and they're trying to find out just how big is the scale of this. Were these the only ones? Are there more in there? I mean, it seems reasonable to suggest that this was only phase 1, and that they would, if they're going to go to all that trouble, that there may well be phase 2. But that, again, just shows you that no one is safe anywhere. Now, I will tell you, though, that while this is great video for the Ukraine side and is huge embarrassment for the Russians, it has damaged their bomber fleet, though apparently not as bad as what's being claimed by the Ukraine side. It hasn't done anything to change the front line dynamics, and the Russians are still continuing to move forth in the Sumy area, the Kharkiv area, Kupiansk, and then elsewhere on the Eastern Front, and that hasn't even slowed down yet. So I don't know that the Ukraine side can be too excited, because media victories don't equate to battlefield victories, and those dynamics are still in Russia's favor.
I'm so glad that you said that, because, again, like the lens that we see this is all warped by the algorithms we have and the propaganda that we are seeing here. But what are the chances that we could see Russia retaliate with a total scorched earth approach here?
Yeah, I've actually been querying a lot of sources that I have inside of Russia, or those that have access to Russian, or some experts, and the camps are split. And one of the reasons I think we may not have seen any comments coming out yet from Russia, from any of the senior officials, is they're trying to figure it out. Inside of Russia, I'm told that there is a big debate between the hardcore guys and the people who want to have a negotiated settlement, the diplomats, et cetera. The hardcore guys are saying, hey, you know what? We're tired of this. Let's ramp this all up and just come in heavy, because they have still restrained themselves from using some of their better weapons against some vulnerable targets in Ukraine that they could strike. Then the other side says, no, we're still going to go this path because we want a negotiated settlement. But Russia does have the capacity, if they want to use some of these Oreshnik missiles, for example. This is one they demonstrated last year, that are almost invulnerable to any air defense systems that the Ukraine side has. And it remains to be seen whether they're going to come in heavy or whether they're going to keep with their relentless pressure, because both are possible.
Yeah, and the question becomes, if they do continue as they are right now, like, how do they harden defenses against drones? Because it seems like even some of the makeshift solutions that we've seen them implement are, at least from the Ukrainian side, defeated by the use of fiber optics or the use of non-traditional, like, drone attacks here. Do you think that Russia can continue as they are with some of this vulnerability to drone attacks?
Yeah, they have. And what Russia has shown from the beginning of this is anytime something happens like this, where there's a new capability, they have countermeasures that go into place. And then you almost never hear from that thing happening again because they figure out how to block it. And that's the downside of this. It took 18 months for them, the Ukraine side, to plan this and execute it. And now that's probably going to be a one-off deal because now they're probably Russia will put in countermeasures now and they'll never get a chance to have this big of a hit again. And frankly, it opens up the possibility the same thing can be used on the Russia-Ukraine side. So that's another thing we need to keep an eye on.
Yeah, something that we've seen over and over again, the lessons of this war being taken from both sides. Danny Davis, always appreciate your reporting. Thank you so much.